Gross. But what else was she to do? Benedict, the brightest spot in her life, and the boy who wore a younger version of this man's face, was inside, and she simply couldn't let them see each other. Not until she'd come up with a plan and a well-rehearsed speech. Speech or no speech, she should probably introduce herself. Minutes of silent gawking didn't do much to recommend her as an employee. The man was about to speak first, and he was starting to look like he was seriously considering having those first words be her dismissal. The woman was a simpleton. She looked normal enough for a country lass, with brown hair swept up into a loose knot, brown eyes, and a touch of colour to her skin from living in a place where people could actually feel the sun on occasion. However, she'd yet to say a word. She'd yet to do anything besides stare at him. And blink a lot. Who was she? Obviously a part of the basic caretaking staff that had supposedly been here for years. William hoped she wasn't the cook he'd asked the solicitor to hire in preparation for William's arrival. The process of answering the door usually included some form of greeting, but she was taking so long to perform that portion, he rather thought anything she tried to cook would end up burned. A maid, then. Her dress was a nicer quality than he expected for a maid, though it certainly looked like it had been around for years. Was it possible she was the housekeeper? He couldn't imagine a housekeeper without any wits, but then again the house was in the middle of nowhere. His coachman had barely found it, even with precise directions. A house such as this would be the perfect place for someone competent but unable to communicate. Tension eased from his shoulders and face. The woman must be mute. As long as she wasn't deaf as well, they should be able to muddle along, though he would mention to the housekeeper that perhaps someone who couldn't speak shouldn't be answering the door. He took in a breath and opened his mouth to speak, but she beat him to it, breaking the silence and sending all his calming conclusions crashing to the stone porch. "I'm afraid there's no one home just now, sir. You'll have to come visit later." William forgot to shut his mouth. Not mute. He was going to have to return to the idea that she was a bit light in the head then. "I'm not here for a visit," he said, slowly and with particular care for his enunciation. "I am Lord Chemsford." The title still felt strange on his tongue. After spending 33 years introducing himself as Lord Kettlewell, and his father as the Marquis of Chemsford, now he was Lord Chemsford, and there was no Viscount Kettlewell. It was enough to leave a man feeling a bit like he didn't know himself. "My lord," the woman bobbed a perfect curtsy, but didn't move out of the way or introduce herself. She did know who he was, didn't she? Yes, his instructions to the managing solicitor had been brief, but surely she knew who she worked for. Then again, this woman might not know what to do with that information, even if she knew it. He cleared his throat and set his mind on giving her a chance. It wasn't as if he planned on spending his evenings sitting about the drawing-room, chatting with his servants. If they could get past this moment, he could reserve judgment until he saw how she did the rest of her job, whatever that might happen to be. "I own this estate," he said slowly. She blinked at him again, but still nothing happened. She didn't step aside, didn't introduce herself, didn't so much as say welcome. Wind rustled the limbs of the trees surrounding the property, birds twittered amongst themselves, and a thick blanket of peace seemed to surround the entire neglected estate. Behind him, at the foot of the stairs leading up to the porch, the horses shifted their weight, causing the carriage harness to creak. But even that didn't break the calm feel of the place. He'd have to make sure that peace remained as he renovated the house and restored the grounds. Peace was something his life had been lacking for a rather long while. He had been right to select this property as his home out of the many he'd inherited from his father, along with a title, a reputation, and a slew of relatives of varying closeness who wanted to live off the marquisate.